Hello, guys. Hello, welcome to World Without Borders, episode 4, episode 5. Sorry, we just an amazing time. Time is just passing so fast, guys. That's why I keep missing episodes. Just let me be. So, welcome again to episode 5 with a wonderful topic. Oh, and today we are here with the wonderful ladies. We are here with Megan and Renata. Do you want to say a little bit of introduction?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Suzy. Hi, Renata. Hello, everyone tuning in. My name is Megan, and I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. And I'm glad to be here with you all again.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Renata Anderson. I am really happy to join these beautiful ladies, Megan and Suzy. And I am originally from Brazil, and I'm talking from Portland, Oregon.
Thank you. Thank you. Such a pleasure to have you girls. You're just so special. Like the wisdom you bring out, we need this in this podcast. So the topic of today, guys, let's go straight in the topic of today is what ignite us to choose our career path. Some people ask, I have this question all the time. People ask me, what made you choose what you're doing? Guys, today is the day you will know really what brought us into that field. And without wasting time, we're going to and some questions to answer that specific question. And we'll start with Megan. So we'll start on your personal experience in general. It's like what inspired you to pursue your current career in literacy?
Wow, Suzy. So for me, it's been a long journey and a really eclectic journey of sampling different things. So I've had different career paths over the years, and I love exploring these things. And it's a word I use often to explain my journey. I meander in things. I take my time and I figure it out, and it's like, no, not quite want to be here, and then I move on, right? But what I always knew is that I'm going to end up in this space where I'm going to be doing something around improving literacy in my community or globally. I knew that would be a big thing because I'm a word nerd. I love reading. I love mentoring and working with kids in particular. So for me, that road was definitely narrowing down over the years. And I think the biggest part that needed to fall into place like recently was the fact that I had a previous business, ended up having to sell it, went back to corporate for a few years. And once you get the taste of your first business, there's no way you want to go back and work for someone else, right? So for that period that I was back in corporate, it was just like me counting down the minutes and going, guys, I'm out. I need to go and start my next business. And 4 years ago, I did that. And over the last 4 years, everything's just been sort of pulling together in such an awesome way. And we can't discount the fact that whatever we've got from previous years, previous experience, it's all onboard knowledge. So it all counts, it all works on the same journey to bring you into the space where you are. I firmly believe that. And that's pretty much, in a nutshell, how I ended up where I am today.
Thank you so much for sharing. And definitely, you talked about something that at the beginning you didn't know what you wanted to do. Then you finally found your way out of it. And definitely, when you get out of when you get into your own business, it's very difficult to go back to the corporate. I know about it,
Yes.
and it is so difficult. And what about you, Renata? Do you want to share us about like what inspired you to pursue your career in planetary health?
Oh, yes, definitely. Thank you for asking. So I think it was a natural way I can see because I started my career as a pediatric nurse working with very tiny babies, premature babies. And I think I was growing like the babies, and I started to work with communities and thinking about more public health and then global health. I started to see and have experience in other countries, other epidemiologies, and always looking at the relationship about the life and the nature and how they are connected and impacted in from all the ways. And I have in parallel my academic journey that I did my master's and PhD in environmental and health. So today it makes totally sense for me to work in the planetary health after all these things that I bring together, and my coaching program that is like working with taking care of the dreams of the people and how they can make their best version of themselves. Yes.
Wow, that's just so amazing how they can be the best version of themselves. That is very inspiring. I think for me, I knew what I wanted to be when I was a child. I always tell people I knew I wanted to do computer science as my dad. And so I wanted to follow his footsteps in computer science. So once I got the opportunity that I could choose, I definitely chose to do computer science. And I went on, and they had enough of faith in me to let me do it. And I did not get a job in that domain. I finally got a job in another domain. But as time went by, I was like, okay, I want to have the ability to transmit my knowledge to others. So that is where I started doing the master's in education, and I had my master's, and I'm like, okay, why not go and have a PhD? You know, guys, school never ends. You just want to do it again and again and again. And that's me. And I found myself in agriculture. How to lie, that is a big surprise for me and for everybody that knows me, because I barely could hammer go to the farm and do like just the whole to plant something. But now I'm fully in the agricultural sector, and I work with a lot of farmers. I think I agriculture was like something I really loved to do, but I didn't have the ability physically. I tried it, and I was like, oh no, I can't do this. But I thought of how can I use what I know, what I love to input in agriculture. And I thought of why not put technology and agriculture together. Technology is my field, and I love agriculture. So I started putting those two together, and then I came up with my company iCode Expo, and it's going places. And that is just one proof to tell you must not be an expert in a domain to open a company in that domain. Expert will come and do their job, and you do your job in your own sector. And it was just amazing. And my next question I have for you, Megan, is what is that specific moment or event that shaped your decision in what you actually want to do, in what you're actually doing right now?
Wow, Susie. So I think for me, it happened a few years ago. So my business was about 2 years old. And for the first year, I was invited to coach because I do coaching as well. And I do purpose and passion coaching for entrepreneurs. And it was the first year I was invited onto a program with 8 or 9 other coaches, where we did an accelerator program for local entrepreneurs with an online university. And we basically built a program where we would accelerate them from either as being aspiring entrepreneurs or startup entrepreneurs that don't quite know what comes next, right? And between the lot of coaches, we put them through a 10-12 week program, and the effect that had on them and us was absolutely, it was undeniable. You know, it was one of those programs that you didn't need to sleep. You just put everything you had into that program because that's where you wanted to be and that's where you wanted to stay. And when I went through that experience, I was already doing literacy tuition in my own business. And so I knew the aspect of mentoring and training and teaching. But for me, that really blew it out of the water because I realized, I think in that moment, that all of the years of experience, as disjointed and eclectic as it seemed over the years, because I've been in so many different career spaces, it just all came together in that one space. And that was it for me.
Thank you so much for sharing. What about you, Renata? What was that specific moment that made you say, okay, I'm going to planetary health? That is what I love. That is what I want to be.
I think planetary health was a construction, it was a journey in my life, because when I look back, I think that was always stepstones to bring me to this place where I am today. So there was no turning point. That was just one way in my journey. So, but if I can see a change that happens in not my not just my career, but my perspective and conception about what is life and what I'm doing here with my time was after the death of my husband. That put me in a place to really think and go deeper inside my feelings and myself and understand what is next. And so I am really glad that I took the time to heal myself and understand that it's possible to continue even after a big trauma.
I definitely agree with you on that point. It is definitely possible to continue even after big trauma, because a lot of people sometimes they lose hope and are not able to do so. But guys, mine came when I usually say this story when I was like going to buy a machine for my company I was actually running at that time. I was going to buy a machine to be able to do new product. I was doing the printing press, and that time thief called me in the taxi, and I was thrown out of the taxi, and they showed me a knife. I was just traumatized, and they took my money, and it wasn't even my money. I just borrowed it from a friend and from my mom. I wrote it in my book in details, and I was like traumatized. And I was just on the floor. I could not even cry. And they asked me, "What are you more worried about? The fact that you're alive? They didn't do anything to you, or the money?" I was like, "I'm crying about that money. I don't even care." I was like crying about. I really needed that money, but I came to that perspective of like, what when I go out, what when I die, and when I go, what would people remind me for? Which impact would that make to anybody's life? Is success really just being having money or feeding your family, just having that environment, or is there more to it? That is where my that really ignite my brain, and I was like, you know what, I want to give back to my community. I don't care if they give anything to me, but I want to be an impact in somebody's life, and I want somebody tomorrow to say, because I met you, my life was never the same. Not because
Yes.
I'm giving you money, but because I bring you to that dimension of where you recognize who you are and what impact you are bringing on this earth. So that was me. That moment really,
Yes.
I hated that moment, but it was the worst, best moment of my life.
There we go.
Oh
And
yeah.
really, and our next question we are going into is like, how did like your upbringing or early education influence your career choice? Megan,
Wow.
we got with you.
Wow. Susie, so when I left school, I had this idea that I was going to become a geologist, right? That was the big thing when I finished school. And I didn't have money to go and study. My parents didn't have money to go and study. So I just went to do the next best thing I could figure out. And I applied for different jobs in environmental fields, right? Thinking that anything along those lines will get me into the right spaces. And that's how I ended up doing marine research and working on research vessels for at sea for 10 years. And it was the best job I've had ever. It was perfect timing. I was like 19 years old, unattached, loved the ocean, loved working on the ships, and it was so adventurous and it was environmentally based. So for me, that was the best thing that could have happened for me. So sometimes when you get what you didn't wish for, it sometimes works out better. And then I also remember at some point, Renata, that I wanted to become a pediatrician. But that was much younger. That was in my much younger days. And so for me, I think it was just the fact that I was very outdoorsy, loved the adventures, loved being in nature, and I could see myself doing something long term in that space and making some level of impact. It was just really the perfect setting for me. And, up to today, I still love the space and still do what I can in that space as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. And with what you shared, we see how your journey and even the people around you can really shape in what exactly you want to do. And it's a journey. You discover it with time to make it
Yes.
specific and to make it like very, very specific in that triangle, saying this is exactly what I want to do, even though at first it wasn't the bigger picture was just too big, and now we have a very small and specific picture of what we want to do. And Renata, please, can you share with us how how the upbringings and the education influence your choice in planetary health?
Well, I think I said that in another episode, but I started to learn languages at a very young age. So when I was 16, I already spoke four languages. And so, and I never pursue a career of languages, but I always have in mind that I am going to have an international career. I will need languages to do other things. And when I started to dedicate myself to go to the nursing school, my father was surprised that he thought I would do history, geography, languages, something like that, because I was always so interested in the culture and things like that. I was like, no, I'm going to travel to the world, but I used to say with a white flag. The white flag is the flag of the health, no? So we come in peace just to take care of it, you know? And that's what I did. So I pursue a career very different from my colleagues. The majority of them, they are still in the same city. They get married with the boyfriend of the college, and they are working in the same hospital. And I couldn't have a career like that, be 20 years in a hospital. That was not for me. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And on that note, we want to ask a question. Do you believe that people choose career based on passion or practicality? Megan, you can go ahead with that.
Susie, in my experience and my opinion, that is definitely that typically practicality wins out at the very beginning. But I think as we become a little more aware and become older, we realize how things really work, and that yes, money is important, but it's not the only thing to be striving for. And so I think practicality is probably the biggest thing that people look at the very beginning. And as you go on that journey and get closer to the point where you actually discover what it is that you really want to be doing with yourself and what your passions are, I think the passion starts to win out. And I've seen that in my own journey. And so many of my peers in this entrepreneurial space and my collab space have exactly that same mirror journey where they started off doing the banking, the teaching, whatever that, just paid the bills. And then within a few years down the line, they decided, no, this is not lighting me up. Let's do it. And for me, it's just been a straightforward switch to, I love all these things. I've got many passions and interests. And I insist on bringing that into my world every day as an entrepreneur in this space. And so that's how my business is built. So for me, it's definitely a passion thing, but I think practicality unfortunately wins at the very beginning.
I love the way you put it. And Renata, do you want to chip in adding anything on what Megan said?
I think for some people it's very difficult and hard to to know what they like, what they love, to choose in a career. But that was not my case. And I don't think I chose my career. I think the humanitarian chose me. I think I was in service, and I'm very happy to with this way. So I don't complain, because I feel it more than it was a decision. It was like natural to do that, you know? So yeah, I don't
It's very
feel like a choice.
it was really like a passion. You were drawn to something and
It's
then you found yourself in it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I have to do that. So
Love it. Love that.
I definitely that point of view is definitely a very good one. because we, according to, I think passion and we're talking about passion and practicality varies according to where you're from. I think it varies a lot because in the US, maybe in the US, I think passion thrives more than practicality in what I wanted to do. But me being in Cameroon, practicality overcome all the
Yes.
passion I could ever have in my life. I was like, you need to survive. Yeah, you need food on the
Right.
table. It is not about what you like, it's about what you eat tomorrow. So we are not
Yes.
even thinking about you having fun at your job, just have it.
Right.
And even because of that mindset, even the employers give you hard time because they know that
Mhm.
you need the job. They don't give you that peaceful place, and they don't beg
Yes.
you to be at your job. They
Yeah.
force you to be. You don't have no choice. They don't even force you. You want to work, just come and work, and if you don't want to work, leave. That's it.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
here, coming here in the US, you have a different perspective of comfortability. They want you to be comfortable and enjoy the work you do so that you can bring in more, and you definitely bring in more in the job. And that also helps you to turn to choose, oh, okay, am I really passionate about this? What can I
Yes.
do that really makes me passionate? But back
Mhm.
home, it's not. I think back home for me, I don't know about others, but for me, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't of
Mm.
what makes me comfortable, what makes me happy. It was not even an option. The option was like what brings you money, and
Right.
I was fortunate enough to have a family that believed in me. My mother believed in me enough to allow me do what I loved,
Yes.
because if she didn't, she would have made me do banking and finance. I would have been in a bank miserable right now, counting people's money and just being miserable.
Yeah.
That's it.
For
But
sure.
that belief, and I think a lot of parents too, please listen to your children. It really helps them to like tell them, when they tell you what they want to do, just give them a benefit of a doubt. If they say
Yeah.
they want to be whatever, just even if it's just one semester of try, then they figure out that I definitely don't want to do this. I want to do this.
Yes.
It looks like a waste of time for a beginning, but I think it's worth it for somebody to find actually what am I passionate about. Because the truth is the practicality makes you get older, stress and die young. Why the passion makes you thrive, even feel
Yes.
younger every day in doing the same, putting in the same stress and the same effort, but you're still very healthy mentally and physically. So that's my
Right.
thought on that.
Susie, can I just add something to that, please? I just want to
Yes.
highlight the fact that you spoke to the parents so directly, and it's something that I've been saying for a long time, but I've also really experienced that with my husband and my daughter in the last couple of years. So my daughter's at that stage where a couple of years ago she had to choose her subjects, to narrow down on her stream, and at school, and she was really struggling with pure maths. And most kids are in that position where they are forced to do pure maths because that's the sure way to like a really good job. This is people's opinion. And she was really going through a tough time trying to hold on to the grades in maths and that. And then when she had to choose that for the next year, I actually had to talk myself down as a parent and say, this is not going to be a repeat of yourself struggling with maths until matric, but being told that you are scientifically orientated, so you need maths and science and physics and all of those things, and pushing through despite the fact that it drove you crazy. And so I took a step back and we decided that we're going to let her choose maths lit, and just release her from that pressure before she even starts. And last term at school, or previous term, she got the best in her grade in maths lit, which I know would not have been the case if she had stayed with pure maths because it just wasn't her groove, right? And in that moment when I had to speak myself down from pushing for her to do pure maths, I said to myself, you are advocating in your business every single day. You advocate to your students, the people you collab with, all of these spaces you go, follow your passions, do what feels right and feels good. And here you are not wanting to tell your daughter the same thing. So it took a bit of thinking about it, but I have to agree with you. Our mindset should be in that space where like what's really going to work for that person. what's going to make them happy, and what's going to make them operate at their best, and work with that. So had to add that there.
Mm.
Really, thank you for bringing that up. But let's conclude with this question. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's conclude with this question. What advice will you give to someone that is struggling right now in finding their purpose, like what they want to do? How should they? Which voice should they follow, or what should they do? I'll start with
Suze,
Renata.
switching it up.
Well,
Yes.
it depends on the age. I think the first thing is don't worry about that. Live your life the best way you can to connect to yourself and understand what are your skills, what are your dreams, and then in the right moment things will come. But I think this pressure, as Megan described it, it's not good. I struggle a lot when I was in this phase before college, and why, so I think decide a career is not in one moment in life. I think we build that step by step. So I don't like this pressure, like, oh, today you have to decide if you're going to be a dentist or an engineer. This is, I think it doesn't, well, it doesn't work like that. It didn't work like that for my life. So I did my undergrad in nursing. I did my master's in business, and in my PhD, I published in engineer. So why do we have to pick just one thing?
Right, right.
Thank you so much for sharing. Guys, why do you just have to pick one thing? So, please, Megan, I
Exactly.
want to hear your point of view on this.
I was just going to say, love Renata for mentioning that, because you guys know I'm all about the multi-passionates and about why do we have to choose that one thing, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
not just one thing that all of us are interested in. And I just think it makes you a richer person being able to tap into all of those areas. So for me, you go crazy. You do a bit of everything you like and you bring it into your space. But to answer your question, Susie, I think the biggest starting point that I've been coaching my students through is take that moment to step back and disengage from what's going on now, and then figure out what you actually want. Or if you don't, if you can't figure out, if you're not at that point yet, actually start becoming self-aware. Develop yourself. Figure out who you are, what makes you tick, what doesn't. What you don't want to do or don't like is equally as important as knowing what you do want to do and what you do like. And that's something I stress. So if you making a list over the course of a year, make a do not once and a do once list, right? And the two will find a way of leading you into the right space. But I think the self-awareness and actually just tuning into yourself and your instincts are really important.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because on my own side, I think I'm writing a book, and I can't stop mentioning it because I'm learning more from myself that I could learn from other people, because I never knew that once you write it down, it sounds so different. When you read it again, I'm like, oh, excuse me, if I follow this example, I'm going to be rich. I need to start following it. You know, I started on this phase of it is more of an introspection, as you said. If I want to find my purpose or my passion, I have to redefine a lot of things for myself and remove myself from societal expectation, because
Yes.
sometimes we are locked up in this society that says to be successful you must be a doctor, to be successful you must have money, to be successful, so they define success for you, and you in your head is like that is the only way of success, so you lock yourself in that fear and you want to be that person that you cannot be because it's not you. But having that introspection, step back and like, okay, let me step back a little bit. My success is not defined by my IQ. I can have the worst IQ test and still be the most intelligent person in the world. We have examples around us.
Absolutely.
And try to start defining on you. You are a person. I am not Megan. I am not Renata. I don't think like Megan. I don't think like Renata. And I will never do, because that's not me. Me trying to think like Megan will never make me Megan. Me trying to think like Renata will never make me Renata. So making
Yes.
that introspection with yourself is okay. This is me and Susie. Let me get to know Susie.
Yes.
myself, because I've been with Renata and Megan so much that I feel like I have been Renata Megan. So
Yes.
I'm being a mixture of them and I don't even know who I am. So let me just step back and do that experience. Like I want to know what Suzy likes, what Suzy wants, and then just find in that like in the book I write about exercises you can do to make you rediscover who you are. And then from there you can start on like, okay, you know what? I know my passion might be this. Give it a try. Have an idea, just give it a try. It's like maybe I like fishing, go fish. Once you go and fish, you discover that maybe you hate it, you never want to do it in your whole life. That's good, at least you have the experience, then you move to something else. But only
Right.
the fact that you allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to try, is really already the pathway, the first pathway to finding your passion. And I'm sure we all find your our passion after just having that conversation with ourselves more than any other conversation. Guys, we have come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for your input. You were such a wonderful, wonderful host, and we have wonderful listeners. Thank you. We are almost in Christmas. Christmas is next week, guys. Happy preparation, buying the gifts, buying the dresses, by making the hair, everything. We definitely love to see you at our episode on the 24th of December. It was just a pleasure. Anything to add before we close, girls? No.
Just repeating what you said, Susie. Merry Christmas, season's greetings to everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, Merry
Bye.
Christmas. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
We're crossing oceans, crossing skies, lifting each other as we rise. No more limits, no more walls. Together we answer the world's calls. World without borders, we are free, telling the stories of humanity. No more divide, we stand as one. Together, together, our journey's begun.